Well, in Brussels today, EU leaders are expected to back a pause in the Israel-Gaza war to facilitate the passage of crucial humanitarian aid into Gaza. The decision will be made at an emergency meeting in Brussels, which is about to start. And we can cross now to Brussels to join our correspondent there, Sofia Betiza. Sofia, I must begin by asking you, it was noticeable when this crisis first erupted that the EU, even at its highest levels of officialdom, was not united on how to respond to this unprecedented crisis here. Is there a meeting of minds now?
Morning, Lise. Well, no, they were not united from the start. What we heard for the last few weeks have been conflicting messages, different views on how the EU should deal with the Middle East. But today, what is happening in Gaza is the first order of the day, and that shows that it is being taken extremely seriously by EU leaders. Charles Michel, the European Council President, who will chair the meeting, he said that the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Gaza is of grave concern. And so today, EU leaders will be very keen to show a united front. Now, they're expected to call for humanitarian pauses in the fighting so that the EU can work with regional partners on the ground and help deliver food, water, fuel and medical care. And they also hope that humanitarian pauses will create safer conditions for the release of more than 200 hostages that are being held by Hamas, many of whom are European nationals from Germany, Austria, Portugal and France. But the issue, Lise, is that those divisions within the EU remain, with some countries like Germany, Austria and the Czech Republic with a very strong pro-Israel stance, and other countries like Spain and Portugal more attuned with the Palestinian cause.
And is there a quiet understanding that if a decision is taken to call with one voice for a humanitarian pause, this may be largely symbolic because, of course, it comes after another attempt yesterday at the UN Security Council to agree either on a pause, as the United Nations suggested, or a ceasefire, as the Russians suggested, and neither was approved?
I think that's a really good point. In reality, when and if EU leaders come out with their official position on the Middle East and call for humanitarian pauses later today, as it is widely expected, that is just symbolic. In reality, they cannot really do anything when it comes to the Middle East. And of course, Lise, the EU does not have planes, does not have warships or an army. So what they can do is just put diplomatic pressure. But something else that they can do, and they will be looking at today, is humanitarian aid. Now, the EU is already the largest foreign donor to the Middle East. When the conflict started, they tripled the aid for Gaza for a total of 75 million euros. So that is something that they will definitely be discussing today. But, even when it comes to speaking with a united voice, just to give an example of that, Lise, for days the discussion has been here in Brussels about whether to call for humanitarian pause or for humanitarian pauses. You've got countries like Germany that feel that a humanitarian pause is too close to a ceasefire, and that is not what they want, because they feel that calling for a ceasefire would be perceived as limiting Israel's right to self-defense. So whereas pauses are perceived to be at very short intervals in the fighting in Gaza, just a few hours, so that aid can get in. So, even agreeing on that one word is proving extremely difficult. But, what diplomats here in Brussels are saying today is that the EU was created as a peace project. And so there is confidence that European leaders will find a way to come out with a united position on the Middle East at some point later today.
Yeah, so absolutely crucial for the EU. It's been long, as you hinted there, one of the main funders of the Palestinians, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. No doubt we'll speak to you later in the day, Sophia, once we find out exactly what European countries have been able to agree on. But thank you for joining us